Welcome to another episode of Mindful City, Tuning into Life, a podcast to discover and celebrate the many ways that our city is using mindfulness in our practical daily lives. Welcome to another episode of Mindful City, Tuning into Life. Today, I am honored, delighted, and excited to introduce to you our guest, Sally Kent. And Sally, to me, is a testament that no matter what space, time, technology, social media, no matter the way that we see it, and it's sometimes being a challenge in our daily life, it can also bring us together in ways that we didn't think was possible. And this is why Instagram has done that for me in terms of meeting Sally. I met Sally online through Instagram, and Sally has this unique way of sharing, combining tarot and astrology. And it's something that I have not seen anybody do before. I'm sure maybe there are, but to me, I just honed in on Sally. And I remember just listening every week as she does these Tarotscopes. And the name alone I love, but there's these Tarotscopes. And every single time when I've tuned in, I find that it's so accurate for what's happening in my life. And I always find a gem or an information that helps me to navigate that week. You know, it could be one word, it could be two words, it could be a whole paragraph. And so Sally has been just a beautiful presence in my life, even though I haven't never met her in person. And so finally, a few weeks ago, I just was really called to contact Sally to find out, how did you come to this, and how is it that you're bringing this benefit to so many? And I just wanted to share that with the naturally curious community that I have here in Mindful City. And so with that long story that I had to share for you for your introduction, I would like to welcome you, Sally, to the podcast.
Hello, Helen, and thank you so much for asking me to be part of this. It's a real blessing, and I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you.
Yes, and I was sharing with Sally before we even started the podcast, before we started recording, that I'm so used to hearing your voice on the Tarotscopes, and so, but normally I'm listening and I'm just hearing what you're saying, but then I spoke to you and you spoke back, and I thought, oh my goodness. I had to say, wait, she's talking back to me because I'm used to that. So that was very sweet, that moment. So I'm just really curious, how did you come to this blend of tarot and astrology, and how did you come to either of those? And if you would give us a little bit of an introduction into your life.
Yeah, of course. Well, I would say that they came to me. It reminds me of something my mum told me recently, that my grandfather, who was from Ireland, used to say that I'd been here before, and say that I was an old soul, and I've always been very interested in spirituality. And but I got my first tarot deck when I was 13, and I've been fascinated with astrology at the same time, and the two have always been the same to me. They've always kind of complemented each other, and they've spoken a similar language, and it's almost like they're sisters, really, to me. And they've always been, I'm getting a bit emotional now, because they've always been friends to me. They've helped me to understand the world. I can remember my first paycheck that I got when I was 16. I bought myself a book called The Secret Language of Relationships, and it was all about everybody's astrology and the week that you were born under. And what I loved about it so much was that you could look up everybody's relationships. So I could look up my astrological relationship with my mum, I could look up my astrological relationship with my grandmother, and it just went on. And so it helped me to understand people on a deep level from a very young age. And combining that with the tarot, asking the tarot questions like, you know, what can I expect from today, before I went to school, kind of gave me a bit of a heads up, and it helped me to to greet the day and greet my life with this inner confidence, really. And my tarot deck has travelled all around the world with me, and I've now got lots of other tarot decks because I tend to kind of find a new deck when I've gone through a new level of upliftment and expansion in my life, and it's just part of my mission, I think, is to share how valuable the two can be together, because I just really want to help as many people as possible because it helps me so
I
much.
loved how you shared that they were friends to you.
Yeah.
Because that's a very beautiful relationship, and because a lot of times they're, even now, with as much as we've learned about spirituality, about tarot, about astrology, I
Yeah.
find that there's still somewhat a stigma, this idea, this whole psychic fortune teller
Yeah.
stigma,
Yeah.
that's hard for people to break through, and sometimes maybe they're always looking for like a literal step to do what they need to do, and they're not always finding that. And
Yeah.
so I like how you're sharing that they're friends, because friends don't exactly always tell you what to do, but they are supportive. They help give you some guidance, and
Yeah.
they show up for you when things go that way. Is that you has been your experience? I mean, since the age of 13, what is it that you feel are people seeking most, when they come to you or when they come to tarot?
I work with some clients that are in the public eye, executives, and they're people that have got a lot of pressure in their life, a lot of stress, and the decisions they make have quite drastic effects. So they're looking for guidance that's on a deep, profound level. That's not just about what they're thinking, but about what they're feeling, and also about traumas, because often our traumas can kind of have like a reverberation effect where they continue to kind of have an effect on what we're creating. And because I'm a Reiki master too, I'm very much about helping people uncover the things that block them from moving forward. So it's quite common for some clients to kind of cry during a reading with me, because I'm totally present for them and totally want them to get the most out of their session with me. So I don't like the word psychic. I think it's quite restrictive, really, and I feel like part of my mission is to demystify the myths around tarot and the misconceptions, because I see it as a as a psychological and emotional intelligent tool that we all need. I mean, it's the type of questions clients ask me are kind of, what can I expect if I move to this country? What can I expect if I go for this job? What can I expect if I leave my marriage? I mean, it's like they're pretty powerful, important questions, and I've often kind of been referred to as a keeper of secrets, because I value my clients' privacy so much, because I feel honored that they're sharing their deepest kind of problems with me. And really, I just see myself as kind of like a channel for the divine. I'm here to kind of help people see what they need to see, and to kind of help them get the best outcomes. So I think one of the misconceptions is, what does the future hold? People kind of see a psychic and a fortune teller as, oh, I don't want them to tell me something bad or anything like that. And I'm not like that. It's my clients come to me with a load of questions. They know they've got an allotted time with me, so they reel off the questions, and then we go deep into the answers, and we find the answers out that they need. And they always kind of say that they feel clearer, better, lighter, and more aligned as a result. But really, they've done their part in their willingness to look at what's difficult in their life. So really, I'm just holding their hand, much like the tarot holds my hand. It's the tarot is like accountability buddies.
So you're almost kind of sharing your friends with
Yeah,
the world,
yeah,
because
yeah.
you're allowing them to also become friends in that way. So I love what you just said about that deep reading, in a sense, because a lot
Mm,
of times we want an answer, and especially when there's an exchange and it's in a professional way. Sometimes
Yeah,
people have that expectation, when you go to the store, you select what you want and you purchase it. And so there's sometimes that mindset where you're going to someone, this is what they're doing, this is their profession. We want to hear what we want to hear, because
yeah,
we feel, hey, I this is what I'm doing, and it's a paying situation, so I want to hear that you tell me this. And so sometimes I don't think people maybe even realize that a reading can be, as you're creating this space for your
yeah,
clients, where you're looking at the various layers to them, and addressing the trauma, because a lot of times that's actually the blocking, right, to receiving that
yeah,
guidance,
yeah.
to so that's quite an intense process to
It,
go through.
it is. Yeah,
How do you manage that? Because I don't know, that's why this is not my calling, but it is yours. But how do you manage your own feelings about what's happening to them? How do you manage, your involvement in that? And because of course, I'm not at all experienced in the world of tarot, so I
no.
also don't know how information goes and flows through you. Would you share a little bit on how that works for you?
So, so I, like I said, I'm a Reiki master as well. So I tend to give myself Reiki after an intense reading. I tend to kind of meditate. I'll kind of take a crystal bath or a salt bath. I'll take my dogs for a walk. I'll do some gardening. I'll do some cooking. It's something creative, but that I'm still kind of with the divine. You know how like counselors and therapists, they have like supervisions after they've had their clients, where they can kind of offload their caseloads and discuss things.
Mhm.
I kind of do that with the divine. Like, I create my own supervisions by kind of doing something that roots me in the present, but enables me to kind of release and process what has been kind of discussed, and also kind of what advice I've given. Because I'm always reminding the client that ultimately their life decisions are their own responsibility. Whatever I suggest and whatever we kind of unfold is about giving you the tools to be able to make these decisions for yourself from a empowered place, a place that feels assured. So really, I'm just kind of a guide to help clients kind of get to that place of assurance that they can cultivate themselves. So really, the tools I kind of share with clients are what I use for myself. I've lost count of how many different tools that I've kind of cultivated over the years, because I've just been into this type of thing for as long as I can remember.
Well, you have a variety of tools that you're incorporating, which is why I find that what you're offering to us and your private clients is so unique, because you're not just looking at one particular pathway per se, or one particular position in terms of how to interpret what's going on in our life. And I think that's also what intrigued me about the videos that you do, and the cards that you put with the astrological signs on
Yeah,
Instagram. And then is because you do take that information and then you go, okay, well, there's layers to these people that are connected to this horoscope,
yeah.
and then you use the tarot to go through those layers. Did that develop over time? Did you always use astrology and tarot together, or was there a moment where you started really seeing the deeper connection? I know they've been friends for you, but when did you begin to do as high I've been encountering you on Instagram now?
Well, it's interesting because I was going to study behavioural science and psychology, and to start a degree to do that. And I realised that actually it was quite restrictive. And so I've always been very fascinated with kind of the mind and emotional intelligence. Like, I've read so many books on those subjects and I really wanted to learn more. But I suddenly got to the university and I thought, I don't want to do this. I need to study art, because really art is the right brain, and that's what that's what, you know, the tarot is. The tarot is kind of the dictionary of symbols and of the right brain. And I felt like I could do more by studying fine art at university. So I think it was at that moment really when I decided to not study psychology and behavioural science and instead decide to study fine art, because really that's kind of the sister of psychology. I mean, when you look at a piece of artwork, you can kind of see the psyche of the artist, can't you? You can feel it, you know.
Yeah.
And practicing Reiki and teaching Reiki for so many years, it felt like to me with art, at least I've got more of a chance of leaving a legacy of kind of what it is that I perceive, what it is that I'm here to kind of show and guide others, and what helps me. And my whole time studying fine art was incredibly cathartic, really. It was a real healing process for me. And it was during my studies, that studying fine art, that I realised that astrology and tarot need to go together. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, especially, you know, the last few months have been an incredible turning point for, you know, at least in my generation, I would say we haven't experienced anything like this as
No.
we've been experiencing in 2020. I know some of my parents and grandparents have had some type of experience that had such an effect on mankind or humanity as it is today.
Yeah.
What have you, with the tools that you have, I'm sure you had to dive in to really make sense of
Yeah.
what is happening around us. What have you seen as a people, just as people, as humans? What is happening on the various levels that you look at us at? Um, what is happening to us, and why is this happening, I guess, would be the simple question. I could have my own answer, but you know, it's like, why is this happening, and what is it asking us to do?
It's a great shift. We're all being encouraged to address our healing
Mhm.
individually. When we do the work to heal ourselves and to do, you know, Jung called it, you know, shadow work, you know, facing the darkness in us as well as the light, and kind of, you know, we're all connected. You know, it's proven in physics, energetically, we're all part of this wondrous tapestry and web that is humanity, and we're connected to the earth. I mean, if you look into kind of fractals and the fractal nature of our existence and the holographic universe principle, it's kind of, we're all being encouraged to address breathing deep and to appreciate our connection to the earth. You know, I've been reading a lot about kind of how the soil is connected to our soul, and how we need nature to feel alive. We need each other to feel alive. You know, it's so when you asked me that question, the analogy of kind of, you know, a coffee cup, when somebody bumps into you and knocks the coffee cup, the coffee tips out, and it's kind of, you know, whatever is inside of us when life knocks us, like an experience like we've all been experiencing this year, whatever's inside of us tends to come out. So unfortunately for some people that means pain, that means upset, that means anger, that means fear. For some people that's love, for some people they're retreating. I think it's a respect for each person's journey, but a willingness to kind of go within and to tend to our own inner garden. You know, we have to make our internal space a nice place to be, and we've all been encouraged to be at home. And a lot of people, I think, especially the people that aren't used to sitting with their emotions and kind of sitting with the things that are difficult, perhaps previous traumas, they've been used to just being able to get on a plane and go somewhere and to fill their external world with lots of busyness. But what that does is delay the healing. So I feel like there's been a lot of healing that's kind of forced healing, really. And it reminds me of the Hermit tarot card. You know, the Hermit is about when we're forced into solitude, when we're forced to withdraw from busyness. And it's a really healing energy, because when we do that, we have a chance to heal and to be illuminated from within, and then that kind of illumination guides us moving forward. So I feel like we've all kind of been forced into this hermit energy to kind of really recalibrate and to realign. And a lot of my clients have changed what they do for their business completely to do something that actually really moves them at their core, because they realize that actually the money isn't that important. It's how they feel when they get up every morning and the impact that they feel that they've had on mankind. And so I feel like a lot of people's values are changing. And so I know that's quite a roundabout way, but I'm still in the process of discovering what's happening too. I don't pretend to know it all, because I don't. I will be a student for the rest of my life. I love learning. I'm so curious, which I'm so excited to be on this podcast, because I know that you're curious too, and so are your listeners. And I think
it's interesting what you were just sharing, because I didn't want to pass on
yeah,
the healing that you were just sharing about. It's interesting because all the changes that are happening, and you've seen with some of your clients and maybe some friends and family, and I've seen the same here. It's almost as if I remember asking the universe once. I said, "Can you just tell me what you want me to do? Like, you don't need to create an entire pandemic to tell me, okay? Like, I promise I will listen to the smallest suggestions you make."
yeah,
And I was thinking to myself, well, why is that the case, that we need something so drastic and dramatic, on such a global scale, for us to look in that? And it is something that you were just sharing, because all the things that we are realizing that we are so focused on getting, or what we've been told that success is it makes us so driven, which is a beautiful quality. It can be, but we're so driven to receive that level of success, and we shut off the listening, the listening to ourselves, to our hearts, and the feeling you were saying, because and I know you're writing the book about your experiences, but when you were sharing the right brain, so it's almost as if we're not listening to that at all. And now with what has happened is we're all starting to see, I wasn't feeding myself those things. I wasn't giving myself the things that I enjoy. And this is showing me, how to do that, and that I need to make those changes.
definitely. By pausing, we see differently, don't we?
Yes, but I was asking, like, I need to make sure that I listen, because otherwise I get bigger lessons. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not listening to the smaller lessons. I get the big one.
Yeah. I say to clients, listen to the body while it's whispering. Don't wait until it's shouting.
Exactly.
And I read all of my experience symbolically, and I teach clients to do this. And I've been talking about it in my video Tarotscopes that I do weekly as well, that we can interpret our dreams symbolically, and we can read our experience symbolically. So if you see a squirrel, for instance, squirrels are symbolic of playfulness and fun, and being quite cheeky with it. It's like that innocence of a child. So whenever a squirrel crosses my path, I know it's the universe telling me to kind of lighten myself a bit, and to enjoy what I'm looking at, and enjoy my life, and relax. Our body responds to the thoughts we're thinking, and it has an effect on our biology. So I genuinely feel that there is this, I trust and know with every fabric of my being, that we are surrounded by a benevolent force that wants good for us. But so many people don't know how to read the signs, don't know kind of, and I'm still learning now. I mean, even though I've been learning since I was 13, I'm still discovering new things and going deeper and deeper on my own personal journey. So it's really such an honor, and such good fun. And it's to have people with me on this journey, in helping people to live a magical life, and to listen to themselves and their experience, so that they can be more in alignment, and that they can make choices that bring them that happiness and that peace and contentment.
It's interesting because this whole idea of magical life, I've been thinking about that lately.
Hmm.
Magical life is really when you see the magic in the smaller things, right? In
Yeah.
this very little things. If you can see the magic in that, like you're sharing the squirrel. I've
Yeah.
been seeing a dragonfly lately, and I was counting on it. I was at the pool, and there was this dragonfly. Unfortunately, it was already passed away, but the wind blew it into the pool.
Yeah.
And I saw that dragonfly, and I said, okay, we had a long conversation about the dragonfly and the connection with nature. And then I was at work the other day, and I was moving like a battery, and under the battery was another dragonfly. And I thought, okay, all right. So I'm watching. I still don't know the significance. And then I was on Facebook like 2 days ago, and someone had a picture, and they had a dragonfly on their forehead, and they were showing their child. And I was like, all right, this is the third time I've seen the dragonfly now.
Yeah.
So I'm watching what that magic is, and what
Yeah.
that's to mean. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because to start to see the synchronicities around us, the beautiful messages that are around us all the time,
Yeah.
and the significance that we give to them, and then they play that for us as well, right?
Definitely.
So that
You know,
personal relationship with that. Mm.
yeah, it's like, it's a like a dance with the cosmos, a dance with the universe, a dance with the divinity. We're part human, part divine, and animals are divine and part animal. It's kind of like, there's, when you mentioned about the dragonfly, it's quite a synchronicity for me that you've mentioned that, because it's very sacred for my parents. They had this like beautiful experience when they were in India, where my dad actually like rescued a dragonfly from a pool, and and uh, and then whilst its wings were kind of like drying in the sun, another dragonfly was like hovering above it. So like my mum and dad have got this thing where they kind of buy each other dragonflies and things now, because it was this beautiful experience where they were obviously like a couple. Well, that's kind of how my parents have seen it, but so I've looked into the symbolism of dragonflies, and it's to do with kind of ancestry and the divine. And so just for you to experience that 3 times is kind of, I feel like it's the universe calling you to trust in your kind of your divinity and your ability to read the signs, because that's highly symbolic.
You
Yeah.
can't pass this one over, it's like
Yeah.
it kept coming, and it kept reminding me, and I said, okay, I'm listening, I'm open. I'm not sure how you feel about this, but I was wondering if you wanted to pull any cards for the audience, or something that's you really feel that you would like to share with us right now, as we're all going through our healing, and as we're moving forward and overcoming obstacles. Is there anything that comes to you? I want to give you time and to see if you're comfortable
Yeah.
with reading for the audience.
Yeah, I mean, I just started to shuffle the cards, and then I just heard this voice, and then this amazing sensation in my heart is to speak about the Empress, because I've 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 been doing a lot of things around the Empress, and that is one tarot card it's the mother archetype. The Empress is about kind of tending to ourselves, tending to our home, tending to the earth, and that brings about a real sense of security, abundance, inner strength. It's about nourishing ourselves as we would a small child. The way we talk to ourselves is our inner mother. It's about realizing that we have an inner mother, as well as our connection to the earth is kind of what helps us to feel really secure. And I think any listeners, that I think most people are struggling with anxiety at the moment, and it's really having those like grounding rituals that the Empress teaches us. Like everybody is subject to each tarot card at some stage in their life. The tarot is the story of life. It's archetypal, so we're never meant to stick to one card. So I feel like the best advice I could give you to kind of help everybody that's listening, because my goal is always to help as many people as possible, is to kind of embody that Empress energy, which is to treat yourself with absolute care, like that you're mothering yourself, like have connection with nature, even if that's just kind of going outside once a day, or having a plant in your living space. Our first body is our home. Sorry, our first home is our body. Our first home is our body. So it's about coming home to your body, and that's very much the Empress energy, and tending to your home then as well, because that's an extension of your body, and spending time in nature. And that is going to help alleviate anxiety, help you to be really focused and secure and feel held, really. And it's interesting, as I was saying, that we're never meant to stay in one tarot card. The next card from the Empress is the Emperor, which is the father figure, which is about building, and it's about our values, it's about our ethics, it's about making sure that we're congruent, that what we're saying, thinking and doing are in alignment, and making sure that what we do out in the world is in alignment with our inner values. And we don't get to that unless we've been through the Empress energy. So I feel like that's what's coming for all of us in the near future, where we will have the tools and the confidence to build things and to be more aligned, and because we've all kind of going through this intense Empress internalizing and healing journey, really. So I hope that helps.
Oh, absolutely. I can only, from my own experience, I can share that I can see that that's definitely what I'm called to do as well.
Yeah.
And then just looking at my circle of friends around me and my circle of people that I work with, I could definitely see that that is an area where we could take benefit from doing much better in that area.
Yeah.
And I can see that that will be the one thing that will help us to finish off this year, to stand in it, because now our relationships and everything is kind of in the open. And because of all that this has been happening, our emotions, like everybody's wearing everything on their sleeve, like everything is out. And so to be called to be really true to your words, your thoughts, words, and your actions matching, I think that that's incredible if that's the direction we're going in, and that's going to bring us so much benefit on a relationship level, with each other.
Yeah,
So,
and it's that saying, isn't it, that people can only meet you as far as they've met themselves, and it's kind of the deeper we meet ourselves, the more we can, widen that circle of compassion and embrace one another as brothers and sisters, and build things that are of benefit for everybody. But we can't do that unless we're really doing our own internal work, really, and kind of making sure that our basic needs are met, and really doing our best to take the best care of ourselves, because that has the most effect, on the whole, by taking care of us.
Yes, and I wanted to share, and I'll definitely share your website and your Instagram information, but your weekly Tarotscopes and the video scopes that you do are definitely an incredible tool to just give us some guidance each week, and to have that focus so that we know that we are listening, that we are using this conscious effort to listen to the guidance, and then put that into practice each week, so you start to see things develop alongside of what you've heard. And so those are incredible tools that you're providing us. And I wanted to thank you for, on a personal level, I wanted to thank you just because of my own experience with what you've done, but also for coming on the podcast today and spending some time with us and sharing a little of yourself, your story, how you came to tarot and astrology, and your unique combination, which I'm still love. I haven't seen that anywhere else, and I'm very happy and content with Sally. It's like, that's it. That's the only one I'm looking at. But yeah, so thank you so much for coming on the show. And Yeah, and good luck on the book. And perhaps when you finish writing it, we'd love to have you back on the show so we could talk about it a little bit.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I also have an illustrator I'm working with in developing a tarot deck as well that will kind of come after the book. So it's just, I keep following the guidance, keep following what I know that it's to help as many people as I possibly can. So
yes.
I thank you so much for inviting me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Like, you're such a lovely person, Helen. I feel really blessed. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. To find out more about Sally and this unique combination of tarot and astrology, find Sally on Instagram at Sally V. Kent. Sally V. Kent.